Hello everybody, welcome back to Fanblade. It is time to restore this old Hohner B2. These are great bases, but this one's got some pretty severe issues, as you can probably tell. Now, if this was just a matter of gluing this piece back on and then finding another bridge block, because I only have 3, then this would be a fairly straightforward repair. But if you've seen last week's video, then you'll know that I have stolen the pickups off this for another base. I've stolen the flip stand off this for another base, and there is a not so obvious crack in the control cavity, but since then I've also discovered another issue with the neck. I took this photo after straightening the truss rod, and if we draw a line across the string retainer, and then we draw another line across the 24th fret, you can see that those lines are not parallel. So yes, there is a very subtle twist as you go further down the neck. The fix for that is, of course, whip the frets out and sand the board flat. Then, of course, I have a choice as to whether or not to put frets back in it, and you can probably tell where this is going. I love the idea of having fretted and fretless matching pairs of bases. So that is what's going to happen to this one. It's virtually a write-off in nearly every respect at the moment, so this is perfect for doing a bit of experimenting on, including making my own pickups, and when it comes to repairing the finish, I want to try something a little bit radical. Now, my valued viewers will always chime in with their valued comments, and this week was no exception. Viewer M Evo Base said that they thought that this base would look great in purple, and I was very much going in that direction myself. In fact, I already had this piece of cotton fabric, which of course has some swirly purple print on it. You've got some options here. You can have a sort of a white bit or a sort of a dark blue bit, or you can select the pattern that you think's going to look the best. I'm going to use some epoxy to stick a piece of this on the front and the back. Then I'm going to sort of sand that all out so that it's nice and smooth. Then airbrush sort of around the edges just to hide the seams, as it were, and also blend in the neck. And once that's all cured, I'm going to finish it with the UV resin. This is going to be rock hard and should look pretty amazing. So, yes, this is going to be quite the thing when it's finished. So all of that and a little neck dive compensator sticking out of there just to attach the strap up there a little bit, that's just going to make this thing into probably one of the most epic bases I own. A fretless, headless, bodiless, swirly purple Frankenstein of a thing. It's going to be good. I've got to start with cleaning up the old glue on these surfaces. I think a little bit of 180 grit sandpaper on a sanding block, just level that out nicely, give me some nice fresh wood to just glue that back on. It's been about 24 hours, this side is fully cured, it's very firmly attached, and we've learned a couple of things. The first thing is that this cotton fabric goes a little bit transparent when it gets any kind of moisture in it, even with epoxy. So you can actually see the black, and you can see a line where that glue join was. Yeah, I'm glad I did the back first, because I have a chance to clean up all these little spots on the front with a little bit of black nail varnish. I'm going to leave the logo. I'm hoping the logo will actually sort of show through the fabric a little bit. It'd be nice to keep that there. I'm not particularly worried about these bits around the edges because I'm going to be putting I want to call it a burst, but it's not really a burst. I'm just going to be airbrushing some black around the edges just to sort of tie the whole thing in. What I need to do first, though, is actually peel all of this off and then trim the edges up. Now, the secret to being able to trim these off as cleanly as you possibly can is, of course, a very sharp knife. Now, this is why I use knives like this with the replaceable razor blades. This is so that you can always grab yourself a fresh blade and know that you are getting the single sharpest thing that you will ever hold in your hand. It is very convenient to just have a pack of them ready to go. You've got to be a little bit careful when handling them. They will cut you. You don't want that. So it's a few minutes later, all of that paint is dried. I say paint, of course, it's nail polish. It's just dollar store nail polish. There's nothing special about it, except that it's cheap, it dries fast, and it dries hard. So this is, it's all good things. And by the way, dollar store nail polish, any colour you want. Anytime you need a test pot for something, highly recommended. Anyway, this thing's ready for some UV finish. Now, I've got a little bit of a problem in that there is not a whole lot of sunlight out today, but we can still get some on here. I have got a couple of UV lamps, and these aren't particularly high powered, but they will cure a very thin coat quite fast. The other thing that I've got to be aware of is that this masking tape here, of course, has a layer of epoxy on it, and I'm wary of adding too many layers of resin around that, because that's just going to get locked in there. I don't want that at all. I've got to pull this off now, then apply some fresh stuff, and if I have to take it off and replace it every single layer, then so be it. Yeah, I'll refresh this, and then we'll put some very thin coats of UV on here. Okay, that hasn't really worked. It's still a bit tacky. I'm thinking these lights just don't have enough power. What I'm going to have to do now is just bite the bullet and put a thicker coat on and then just sit it outside. And if it takes 2 hours as opposed to 2 minutes, then so be it. I might have gotten away with it. There's a little bit of sunlight bursting through the clouds. You can see there's a bit of a shadow of my hand there, so hopefully this actually works. Okay, so that has actually sort of worked. Like, I can feel that it's hardened. It's not tacky at all. It still feels a tiny little bit soft, but it's definitely, way more cured than these stupid things did. While the sun is out, I want to get the other side done as fast as possible. Like I said, this side is still a little bit soft, hence I'm going to shove the neck in a pool noodle. Professional equipment at all times, of course. Clamp that off the edge of the bench and then do this side. Alright, so here's the setup. The body is sanded out to 240. It is looking mighty sort of rough right now, but I am hoping that the final coat, because this is the final coat, that's just going to gloss over all of those little lumps and bumps. We're going to get a nice, perfectly level, very attractive finish. The setup here is that, of course, pool noodle, inside cardboard tube, piece of MDF, clamps, and a little adjustable strap. Now what all of that does is that allows me to rotate as I go. So I can get a full coat on the entire thing and hopefully not have it hit the floor, because that'd be nice. The sun has come out in force. It is a beautiful summery day. I have put on sunscreen, of course, Cancer Society SPF 50. The New Zealand Cancer Society is a non-for-profit organisation that helps patients and families dealing with cancer. So if anybody out there has a family member or a friend, as I do, who is currently going through chemotherapy, then yeah, please give generously. Right, let's do this. And here it is pretty hard, 10 minutes in the sunshine, and I'd say it's at about maybe 90% of its final hardness. That final 10% usually takes an hour or more for it to, to properly cure, really finish doing its job. That will, of course, happen just in time. It's worth mentioning as well the idea of putting fabric on an instrument. It's kind of a concept that's borrowed a little bit from the carbon fibre or fiberglassing area. This is super strong. This crack is not going to shift. The crack in the control cavity is very much wallpapered over. Speaking of wallpaper, again, this idea is not new. The original Paisley Telecasters that Fender made way back when, that was wallpaper, that was Paisley wallpaper that they just glued on and then clear coated over. That's sort of what I was actually trying to do here, except I couldn't find any purple Paisley print. But then it has since occurred to me that I could have just gone to a copy shop and got them to print out an A3 of Paisley print, and that would have had exactly the same effect. But as it is, I'm absolutely wrapped with how that's come out. The UV resin is a winner. This bottle cost about $35 New Zealand, and I've still got half of it left. Between this project, the support stand for the upright bass, and a couple of other little tests and things that I've done, I've only used half this bottle, so there's probably enough in there to comfortably do 2 full-sized bass bodies, which means that effectively it would work out that I can do twice as much work for half the price as I used to do with superglue, and it doesn't stink to high heaven, so that is an absolute win as far as I'm concerned. Now obviously there's still plenty to do to this. I need to sort out the bridge. I have started working on the designs for the pickups, and there's quite a lot of work to do to the neck, so that's all going to be coming up in the next couple of videos probably, but for now, that is how you do a UV resin finish on a fabric print on a Hohner B2 bass. Oh, like, honestly, I'm really wrapped with that. That's exactly what I was hoping it would come out like. So, yes. Alright, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for subscribing. Look after yourselves. See you later. Bye.